Okay, great. Hi guys, exciting time, exciting audience, pretty big. How many of you are engineers here? Raise your hands. Nice, quite a bit of audience. So just for introduction, I'm also a software engineer, did my BTech in computer science and engineering, and I'm a second-time founder, sold my previous venture. So today I'll talk more about the journey of entrepreneurship rather than just the product itself. So this is a short summary of my first venture. I'll talk about my second venture in more detail in today's conversation. So I graduated from college and I spent 3 months in the Bay Area, Silicon Valley for an internship, realized that I want to do something of my own and be in India, and that's how I started my first company. It was a AI chatbot startup, not really competing with AiSensy, but yes, we were very focused on financial services sector. We onboarded many clients, State Bank, Kotak, ICICI, etc. And that venture was bootstrapped, and it was acquired by a larger company called Exotel in 2021. So I was a part of their leadership team for 2 years after the acquisition, and then I moved on in October 2023. So that's a short and sweet summary of how the first venture happened, and now let's talk about the next journey from there on. So, I started searching for startup ideas, what to do. That's how we all start, right? Once an entrepreneur, forever an entrepreneur. The grass is always greener on the other side. So I said, I've done a lot of B2B SaaS. Why not try something else? Why not try something EdTech, Fintech, solar? Spent time, but ultimately realized that there is something called as founder market fit. Not everybody is meant for every type of business. I'll give a very simple example, right? If you take me 15 years back, and say that Zomato is going to be such a successful company, what it is today, would you want to build a Zomato-like company? I'll probably say the answer as no, because I'm not meant to be building a venture which Deepinder Goyal has built. So in that 3 months of time, we figured out that building software for large enterprises in financial services is the area where we have built our own skill set in terms of acquiring customers, in terms of supporting them, in terms of building the product. Now let me talk about how we went through finding our startup idea, the journey of that. So this is how the whole thought started. We said, fine, let's build a business of $10 to $15 million in revenue. If you sell software, this kind of business is kind of doable in India, right? In India, we all say that there is a lack of very big markets where you can build $1 billion software company, but then $10 to $15 million is fairly reasonable. And if we build that kind of business, it will be valued at $100 million, and that would be a large enough financial outcome. So that was the initial thought process. We did not want to raise any institutional capital. We wanted to kind of bootstrap it like the first venture. But we had friends at Z47, Matrix Partners. I'm sure all of you would have heard the name of the fund here. They knew me for a long time after the acquisition. We were in touch with some of them. So they offered to do a seed round. So we were initially very skeptical. You would be surprised, I had a 1 hour, 45-minute long conversation with them on why they should not invest. And then they had another 45-minute conversation with me on why they are very interested in the space. So after a while, we said, fine, then these guys seem interesting. They seem to be pretty supportive of us, pretty interested. We did not go out in the market to formally raise capital. In fact, any venture-funded startups here, I'm sure many of you would be here. Any founders who have raised capital? Okay, not much. But anyway, so there is a concept called IC meeting, an investor committee meeting where all the managing directors, all the senior members of the IC committee, they evaluate your startup. They join the call for 1 hour, 1.5 hour, 2 hour, and then you have to pitch your idea, right? We literally did not have much to pitch in our IC meeting because we were pre-revenue, pre-product, pre-idea. All we said was we have to build software for financial services. But of course, being a second-time founder helps. Knowing the partners helps. And that's how we got our seed round done. So we raised 1.6 million seed round. This is last year, sometime in January when the term sheet was signed, and sometime in June last year when the round was announced. Now, this starts with a journey of finding the startup idea. So we went to some of the banks and financial institutions and said that, you know us, you have worked with us in the past. We understand this industry. We have built software for BFSI. What are some interesting problem statements which you feel we can work on? So this interesting idea came where people said, can you improve the efficiency of our field agents? So field agents are those people who visit door to door, who are in the branches, who meet customers in person, right? So what we did was we actually shadowed the field agents to understand the problem statement deeper. Exactly what is meant by improve the efficiency? Where is the inefficiency, right? So we spent time with some of the field agents and we figured out that there are lots of problem statements. So when a Swiggy or a Zomato delivery partner comes to your house, they have Google Maps within the mobile app, and that's how they are able to search your address. But we were surprised that a banking relationship manager has address written in text, and they have to search and ask, ma'am, where is your tower? I'm standing near DMart. Which one is your next tower, right? So this is very basic. Like Google Maps and all this thing is 10-year-old technology. It's not even AI where we are talking in 2025. Apart from that, very basic things like the relationship manager is not able to pitch the product properly. Customer is asking some questions, they don't have an answer. I am an RM, came to your house to pitch an insurance. You want a credit card, and I am saying, ma'am, I don't know about credit card, I will call someone else. I'm sure all of us have had these kind of experiences, right? So that's how we said, we built a small prototype. Not a working product, it was a very small, simple prototype, which had some of these features where, let's say if I'm going to this area, Manyata Tech Park, and I have a meeting set with Gautam, but I have 5 other customers here, it will show me on a map, so I can optimize my route. Apart from that, we built one more very interesting feature where I can turn on my mobile app and record the conversation between me and the customer, and that conversation can be passed through a language model, and then it will give me feedback, suggestions, insights on how to improve my pitch. Now where you see, I hope you can now see where we are heading towards the AI part of things, right? We tied up a few APIs, we tied up a few language models, and we built a prototype. We showed it to more than 25 BFSI clients. And we were very surprised. The whole thing started with field agents. Many of the customers said that, look, we don't want you to record the conversation for an in-person visit. Instead, in our call center, all these call recordings are recorded. Call recordings are already there. Why don't you implement this in our call center? So from field agents, that's how we moved towards call center agents. I still remember we were at, in my house in one of the rooms exploring the startup problem statement. We made an Excel sheet and said, what exactly are people asking? Features on the columns, and list of customers who were asking in the rows. And this one feature on, can you implement this in our call center, was the longest list. So that's it. Data said it that customers wanted this feature. We said, let's build it. So one of the leading banks with whom we were working on this, they liked our offering. We created a prototype, and we co-created the product with them. This is last year, April, May, June. We completely worked on the product with them. Use case is very simple. From the call recordings, can you help us automatically audit these calls? Right? So for call, you would have heard, right? When you call a company, they say, this call will be recorded for training, quality, and compliance purposes. So behind the scenes, there are humans who listen to these calls and fill a quality sheet. So for one telecaller, there are about 1,000 calls a month, and they audit 1 or 2 calls per telecaller per month, which is pretty low. So using the software, you can audit all of these call recordings, and you can answer questions like, did the agent misbehave with the customer? Did the agent resolve the issue of the customer? Or if the agent asked for CVV, OTP, any kind of confidential details. So there are a bunch of parameters we support. So things like, at the end of the call, did the agent ask for feedback? Or did they tell the pricing of the product correctly? Right? These are the things which ensure that the conversation went well from a hygiene perspective. So using software, this can be completely automated, and you don't have to hire auditors, training people across different languages, right? These big financial institutions, they have business across the country in multiple languages. You have to hire auditors. Imagine trying to hire an auditor in Odia language. Good luck finding. It's pretty hard, right? So after that, we saw some early success with a large bank, with a Fintech, with an NBFC. So we started expanding our reach outs. In the next 2 to 3 months, we set up our SDR function, which is sales development, SDR team, I'm sure you are aware, which is the team which reaches out to more prospects and does demand generation for you. We expanded the use case beyond call auditing. So this came in one of our customer conversation. They said, with call auditing, you are telling me what the agent is doing right or wrong. But on that same call, my customer is also talking. can you tell me what exactly my customer is asking for? Are they mentioning about any competitors? Are they saying, why are they denying my product? Or in my customer support calls, is my customer frustrated? In my EMI collections call, are there customers who will default, who have explicitly mentioned on the call that they will not pay the loan? So these things will ultimately feed into the business processes. So imagine I'm a collections head, a telecaller, let's say I have 1,000 people telecalling team. A telecaller might, to save themselves, they might say that, yes, this customer will pay after 2 months. Because I am moving out, I'm looking for a new job. So I will mark in the system that I spoke with the customer agreed to pay after 2 months. Imagine a software flagging this call that says that customer is purely refusing to pay. So these kind of calls can be very easily flagged, or calls where agent is abusing with the customer. Recently, I'm sure you all would have heard the call recording of one of the banks which went viral on social media, where a collections agent was abusing the Jawan of an Indian army. Right? Our Indian army Jawan was being abused by a collections agent. Such conversations can be easily flagged using AI. So we onboarded a few customers. This is last year, some of the banks, some of the insurance companies, broking firms, fintechs, etc. After that, we went on to the phase of delivering the projects and implementations for these clients and retention. So this was like a co-creation activity. We worked with these customers to retain, to ensure that they are getting value. Because ultimately, I'm sure many of you are SaaS businesses here, retention is the key, right? There's a saying that first-time founders, they think about product. Technology. Second-time founders think about product. Third-time founders think about retention. So while this is my second venture, I've tried some more gigs in college. So practically, this is the third venture. And that's how I'm very focused on retaining the customers vis-a-vis just building the technology and the product. So we recently announced a Series A round led by Elevation Capital. So seeing all the success, all the progress, Elevation Capital approached us. They are one of the top tier funds in the fintech space. They have a lot of fintech portfolio, and they aligned very well with our business, our offering. Existing investors also participated in the round. So now what we are doing is we are using this capital to build our leadership team. We are still a small team, about 55 people in the team, right? It's fairly small, like much smaller than the number of people in this room. And we are hiring regional teams in Bangalore, Delhi, etc. We are strengthening our middle management directors and VP level people across all functions. So now with this Series A, one thing we are also doing is we realize that measuring the quality of conversations adds value. But there is a much bigger unlock in building voice AI agents which can autonomously talk to these customers. Imagine if you have a call center that works on its own without human involvement or with minimum human involvement. Today, if you're running a call center of 1,000 people, just for the size and scale, 1,000 people is what I can see in this room. Imagine if you have these many people who are running a call center. Every single day, some goof up will happen where someone will misbehave with some customer, someone will abuse with some customer, someone will tag something incorrectly in the CRM, something will break. And then there is an audit hierarchy, there is a training hierarchy, there is a whole bunch of people who are hired, and that becomes an added cost to run an army of 1,000 people. And now imagine software taking away all of this headache off your head and doing it completely autonomously. That's what we are building now with voice AI agents for financial institutions. Yes, so what next? Excited about the prospects of AI in the financial services space. We feel that voice AI will have a massive impact in cost cutting, expanding reach outs. We are building a strong team, and beyond product technology, there is a strong focus on delivery, support, integration, which is very crucial for BFSI sector, data security, etc. So that's about it. Thank you. That was my journey of building my second venture.
Thank you. I request you to stay back, and let's have Mohit back on stage to hand over the token of appreciation to the gentleman, please. Let's have a big round of applause. That was Aman Goyal, founder of Grey Labs AI for all of us. Thank you so much for enriching your knowledge towards this.